Welcome to another exciting episode of In Conversation with Alethia. I'm your host, Alethia O'Hara-Stephenson. In each episode, I sit down with incredible individuals who are doing inspiring things. The show will educate, it will empower, and it will inspire you. In this episode, I am honored to have a legend, an icon, a trailblazer. She is a Juno Award winner. Double Juno Award winner. She's also a Grammy Award winner. She is none other than Liberty Silver. Liberty, welcome to In Conversation with Alethia.
I love you. I love you. Awesome.
Oh, the love is mutual.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, this is incredible. You have had such an amazing career. You started off when you were 12, opening up for Bob Marley.
Yes.
I believe Madison Square Garden?
Yes, Madison Square
my
Garden.
Goodness. Incredible. Yeah. What was that like? I mean, first of all, for you at 12 to find the courage, how did you even summon that?
Well, I grew up in a small town called Peterborough, Ontario.
Okay.
And I was very different than other people. So I went through a lot of things with other people. Okay. And one day I came home from school and the girl goes, "We don't hate you because you're black. We hate you because you're black and adopted." And I said, "Oh, really?" Because I didn't know. I lived in a British family that came out of the Second World War. My father was an electrical engineer and he was also a violin player. So there was always music in the house. So I went home and I asked my mom, "Is it true?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's true." Wow. I said, "Okay, I think I'm going to leave for the weekend." She goes, "Where are you going to go?" And I said, "I'm going to go see Susan, my sister, and spend the weekend and just process this."
Right.
Now, when you're going through bullying at school, it's a different world for you,
Absolutely.
right, than anybody else knows. I would come home sometimes and talk to my mom and dad, and they say, "Oh, just brush it under the rug." But that's kind of hard to process when you're 12 years old, and you're bigger than everybody. So anyway, I went to Toronto, and I stayed with Susan, and she had a pool downstairs, so I went in the pool, because my parents kept me very busy with athletics and lacrosse and everything that they could put me in to keep me, going. And I was singing in the pool, and a guy said, "Hey," he came in the pool, goes, "You can sing. I know a band that needs a singer. Can you do the audition?" I said, "Yeah." I went upstairs. I said to my sister, "I'm leaving. I got to audition." She goes, "What?" I said, "I'll see you soon." I went down to the club. I auditioned for them. And 24 hours later, basically, we were on the road. They were 5 older Jamaican men, very much older than me. They read me the riot of an act of what I should and should not do, and to this day I stick to it. And we get to Madison Square Gardens, and I open up for Bob Marley. And I was 12.
I can't even imagine, being 12 and opening up in a stadium filled with people and in front of such a legend.
And it's funny because years later when my father and I talked about it, he goes, "Well, it doesn't surprise me. You were manifesting in front of the wall like you were singing to thousands of people."
Wow.
So that was the first time I heard the word manifest. So when he taught me that word and what it meant, I said, "Okay, that's what you got to do."
Okay.
And we went to church after he died. We found out he was Jewish, like a whole bunch of things. But he had that spiritual aspect that fed me also when I was a child too.
Wow.
Yeah, so that helped.
And so I imagined a lot of your musical talents you kind of honed at home, because you mentioned your dad was a violin player.
Yeah, the first string violin player in the Peterborough Symphony, and he had all kinds of instruments. At one time I was playing drums, I was playing piano, I had a saxophone, I had a flute, and I just kind of mini mastered them, right? I can do it in the recording studio. I wouldn't do it on the stage, but I know how to play a lot of different instruments. And he was basically preparing me, which I didn't know, right?
Wow.
And before he was my discipliner, and I didn't like him too much. Sometimes dads can be, you don't like that part. But he caught me one day playing with his tape recorder, and I was trying to figure out a way how I could sing the song, then flip the tape over, put it in another tape, and then flip it back so I could hear all 3 harmonies. And I was like 8, 9, 10 when I was doing this. And he came in, he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, he goes, "How did you learn how to do that?" I said, "I just figured it out." And he brought me in his train room where he had all his little special toys. He goes, "Come on." And we were best friends after that. But he recognized finally the musical mind, which he had also. So it really helped. So he was a great inspiration for learning different instruments, because learn as much as you can. And after I came off of the Bob Marley gig, I went and I said, "Okay, that's what the end game looks like. Let me start at the beginning." So that's what I did. I started going into clubs, and I sang jazz, and I sang blues, and I sang reggae. I ended up winning a reggae award, which I was like, no, I'm not.
You're not a reggae artist.
But I am. Like
Yeah.
from way back in the day, Leroy Sibbles, all those guys, and they all used to hang out on Eglinton Avenue in Toronto, and that was a little mecca, reggae mecca
Yep.
there. Right. So, but then I moved into R&B, and I did very well in R&B. And then when the economy got low, I went and did jazz. So I learned about how to economize myself, like how to watch my budget and how to stay alive during the dry periods.
Wow.
So it was a real lesson. It was an eye
Incredible.
opener. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then I got to the Junos, and I won 3 Junos.
3?
3. I won
Amazing.
3. Yeah. And the Grammy was for The Tears Are Not Enough, the collaboration with the USA, We Are the World.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have a gold hit in country. Yeah.
Oh, just
'Cause I
casual, you know.
No, but
know,
you
not
know
a
what?
big deal.
You know what? But you know what? I love country music because you grew up in, places like Peterborough. You hear it.
Yes.
And I remember going to a talent show one night at the local bar, and the prize was a 24 of beer, right? So I said, well, let me go up there and sing a song. So I sang Paper Roses by Marie Osmond, and I won. And my girlfriend says, we better get out of here because those boys thought they were going to win and they wanted that beer.
Oh
So
my
we
gosh.
had to hightail it out there. But the best advice I can give to anybody who wants to be in the business that can sing or play is learn how to do everything and learn how to do it well. You don't have to have a big, huge repertoire, but you never know when you're going to find yourself on stage with like Bob Geldof.
Yeah.
Like I was on stage with Bob Geldof, and I said,
Wow.
oh, I hope you like what I'm doing. Of course I like what you did. You're amazing. Da, da, da. So you get around people that kind of mentor you and stuff, but it's good to know a lot of things.
Yeah.
And to educate yourself.
And that's an interesting point. You touched on Bob Geldof. How do you stay level-headed in the game? Because I believe you were offered a multi-million-dollar contract just after winning the Junos,
Right.
and you said no, this is not
Absolutely.
for you. Like,
Absolutely.
how do you maintain that level of level-headedness in the game that is so competitive?
That is so easy. It's your spirit tells you.
Ah.
And I've always been guided by that. I used to sit as a young child on my bed going, God, what am I doing here? Who are these people? Are you sure you put me in the right place? And I didn't know that I was adopted, but I could sense something was so much different.
Right.
So, and because I was brought up in, we went to United Church, and then after my father died, we found out he was Jewish.
Wow.
So, and I said, that's why we never ate fish, and we never ate pork, and
Right.
on certain days, and we never did certain things. And he made us walk. I go, Dad, the church is right there. He goes, we're walking. We walked. So it's that spiritual aspect. You always have to keep that with you, period, to the end. If you don't make it, if you make it, you got to look at the business too. Like I did it because I love to do it. And I started listening to a whole bunch of, once I found out who I was, I started buying at Sam the Record Man, Earth, Wind and Fire. Then I found Sly and the Family Stone. I said, oh, okay, let's do that. And I just started singing and learning.
Wow.
And from doing the high octave stuff, I just listened to Minnie Riperton. And it was all just, it was like I was just echoing her, right? So I was able to do a whole bunch of things, and I had no barriers. It was when I got into Toronto and I started working with other people, and they were offended of how good I was. They were offended, and they weren't nice. And I said to them, we were doing this big gospel show, and they basically said, well, you can sing the song, and then they took the song away. It was a CBC special, and then they took my mic away. The whole group said, no, don't let them hear Liberty, right? So of course they took the mic away, and I started singing anyway, and they could hear me. You can hear me clear across the thing. So I realized that it's a competitive business when people should really be thinking spiritual about what they're doing, because music heals. Right? And it communicates.
And it brings people together.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the multi-million-dollar contract came, I was like, no. And he goes, why would you turn this down? I said, because there's no black radio. There's no black record labels. There's no black nothing. Like, you're going to chew me up and spit me out. And then it's going to be over for me.
Wow.
And I'm not going to have that experience. I would rather, like I said, go back to the Eglinton Avenue, so go back to the downtown jazz clubs. And that's how I learned so many different kinds of music.
Wow.
And then I started writing. And I started writing Olympic themes. I hooked up with a lady named Sylvia Sweeney, who's Oscar Peterson's niece. She said, I'm writing a song for the World Championships. You got to help me do it. So said, so done. And then,
you collaborated on 2 Olympic game themes, right?
The one for Atlanta and one for Greece.
Oh my gosh.
And we got to go to Atlanta and perform, and Greece and perform. It was like so awesome. Muhammad Ali was there.
Like, how do you even channel, you know, the right energy to be inspired to come up with a theme for the Olympics? Like, that's a whole different ballgame.
It was so easy for me.
Really?
Yeah, because of what I experienced in my early days. When I got out of there, it was exodus movement of Ja people for me. I said, I'm going to be creative. I know who I am now, because I didn't. I had a lot of opposition, even from teachers, right? And I did not know why, but now I know who I am. I'm going to freely express myself in music, because that's where, and then I noticed the effect that it had on people. Right? So I felt like it's a healing. It's healing me. It's healing them. They're loving it. Like some concerts, there'll be people waiting at backstage and they'll be crying. And I go, don't cry, you're okay. She goes, yeah, but I'm feeling for the first time. Like it opens that, which is to who you are, right? So once you know who you are, you're good. I'm good.
Wow.
Like I'm good. And I didn't look at the awards like that. I said, okay, that's great. Let's go. What are we doing next? How can we help?
Incredible.
Then I met Desmond Tutu and Harry Belafonte. I opened up for Harry Belafonte, and we came into Massey Hall, and the dogs were everywhere. And I go, why is there dogs everywhere? He goes, this is a concert for apartheid, and they're sniffing for bombs.
Wow.
And then I walked into the dressing room. I saw Desmond Tutu. I said, hey, I know you're Desmond Tutu.
Amazing.
I go, can you pray with us? And he said, yeah. So he came and he prayed with us.
Incredible.
And yeah, Mandela, I met Mandela. Tutu and Mandela were like, they were a mischievous pair.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of politics in music, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of times people were offended, maybe because they're, you have to love yourself no matter what you do. It doesn't matter how high you sing or how low you sing, you just do the best that you can. And that light in you will shine and somebody will notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to hear, the number of people who you've met, influential people who you've met over, your career. But how do you stay true to yourself, despite the competition, despite the challenge and the obstacles?
Like again,
it's,
the holy, holy of holies.
Yes, yes.
Our Father who art in heaven. I believe in that. That's why I can turn away things and not feel bad about them, because I know if you have instinct, you have spiritual instinct, and you know something goes ping, and you're like, no. And your mind will tell you if it's clear, if you're not doing alcohol or drugs or anything like that. You got to stay clean, and you got to gotta up your game. I'm constantly told by my family, up your game, mama, up your game. You know, you're younger out there. I said, yeah, well, okay. I'm younger too now.
Absolutely.
Right? But it's true. You have to be in your game, and I hear that all the time from the family. Come on, Liberty, get up. They're out there. They're doing that. I said, just wait till the dust clears, because I saw what was happening in the music business, and I said, no, I'm not. That's not me. I won't be a part of that.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get swept up in the drugs and the booze and the hype of being in the music industry.
Yeah, and the way that things are now, unfortunately, it's demonic. It is.
Yeah.
You don't need the devil to show up to tell you that. Like it's not what it's supposed to be. And so we have to hold tight and firm for that to clear.
Amazing,
cut and clear.
You know what? This is absolutely incredible. We're going to take a short break and pick up the conversation with Liberty Silver, Juno Award winner, Grammy Award winner after the short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to In Conversation with Alethia. I'm in the studio with the one and only, the incredible Liberty Silver. Liberty! Yay! So we left off the last conversation talking about, the Olympics and some of the incredible, collaborations that you were able to do to create the themes for the Olympic, two Olympic Games.
Yes.
Now, what was that experience like? Being able to collaborate and just channel that energy to co-write these songs, and I believe you performed as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually did a English version and a French version. So it was amazing. Atlanta was really cool. It was interesting because, you know, they had this big Olympic stadium and everything, and then they had these walls painted with all kinds of cool pictures, and I was like, I wonder what's behind the walls on the walk into the stadium. And when you look behind the walls, it was actually a ghetto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they had kind of covered it up with pictures. I was like, okay, that's what's going on in Atlanta. It was amazing. It was awesome. Celine Dion was on the show, all kinds of people on the show. We did a show at a really big, well-known college there, and I met a lot of people, and it was just, you know what, it was an experience of a lifetime for me. And meeting Muhammad Ali, too, that was fun, too. He kind of we were joking a bit, and that was awesome for me because I named my son Ali after him.
Okay,
right?
incredible.
Yeah.
You must have made an impression.
So there you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But it was such an honor. Like, I do things not realizing what I'm getting into, and they're all really good things. And I think that's what happens with me when I'm just, like, I know who I am, and I know what's good for me because I follow the rules. I follow spiritual rules.
Amazing.
So that kind of, it comes, like the apartheid one, there was dogs all over the theater, and I was opening up, and I went and did my sound check, and I heard this guy go, Miss Silva, how much time did they give you? And I turned around, it was Harry Belafonte. I said, they gave me 15 minutes, sir. He goes, take 20. Right? And I was like,
wow.
Harry Belafonte just gave me 20 minutes.
Amazing.
But it's, yeah, I mean, you really have to be in your right mind and understand that there's going to be people who sing better, maybe look better, maybe sing higher, sing lower, gonna win a gold record, you don't. It's part of the business. It's where you really, again, like my father said, you have to manifest that. You have to know what you want, how you're gonna get it in the right way, how are you gonna work it yourself, what are you gonna look like, what are you gonna smell like, what are you gonna feel like, how are you gonna dress?
Absolutely.
You know, I've always been a proper girl. I like that. You know, maybe sometimes I have a low cut thing, but I think that's important because I met Mikhail Gorbachev one night at the Royal York Hotel, and I said, "Hello, sir," and he was looking down here, and I said, "I'm up here, sir," right?
Wow.
And then all the cameras were like, because I had said that quote, and you know, everybody saw it, but. That's my principle, and I think when you invest and manifest in yourself, then you know who you truly are.
Yes.
And we're also insecure sometimes.
Absolutely. I think
you know?
everyone goes through those
Yeah,
moments.
and you're gonna see people that are really not that they're better than you, they just do something different.
Yes.
And sometimes it can be very powerful as an artist to see another powerful artist and see what they do, and you go, wow, man, I got to step up my game, right? So we're all each one teach one. That's what it is.
Love it.
But it's a very competitive business, unfortunately. So me, I'm not a competitive person. I don't worry about that because if you're spending time worrying about that, you're worrying about the wrong thing.
Exactly, and that's when your competitor will eclipse you.
Yeah,
right?
all the time. You won't get anywhere. It'll just be harder for you because you don't understand why you have to do certain things to get certain things. It doesn't work like that. You have to work hard and, you know, hone your craft and be very good at what you do and practice and be healthy. And I do a lot of charity work. A lot.
That's giving back is important.
A lot.
Right?
And I have no problem doing that. Even now, you know, I'm saying, okay, we'll just pay the expenses for the you know, for my transportation there and back or stuff like that. Because it's important to be a part of the community. Like I'm a big community girl. I love that.
That's
you know,
incredible.
I really love it, yeah.
And, you know, you've touched on, you know, a little bit about all of the different, you know, high-powered individuals, much like yourself, who you've met throughout your career, even starting out. But how do you keep, you know, a level head? How do you keep, you know, all of the excitement together so that it doesn't get to your head? Like I'm having this conversation with you. You're so humble, right? And sometimes when you are, you know, the Grammy Award winner, the Juno, so many other accolades, you know, to your name, you tend to, you know, float.
Yeah, people do that.
Right, but here you are, you're still humble, you're still genuine. Yeah. How do you stay connected and grounded? Again, yeah.
That's the root of all the power and everything that you need. Because when everybody's gone and there's no cameras and you're sitting in your room and you're by yourself, you find joy with a good, nice sleep,
yes.
you know, and a nice hot cup of tea. So you have to remember to ground yourself. This is a business. It's called show business. But the big part is showing also yourself who you truly are. And I don't go out of character. Like I love to wear a big dress and do that and that. But after I'm finished, I'm still myself.
Yes.
And I have to be myself and with others. You know, you do have to stay away from, you know, crowds or certain places and people and stuff like that. So you live a good life for yourself.
Beautiful.
Because when everything turns off, you're with your family. And if you think that you're this wonderful, great, like this omnipotent person, and then there's nobody around, what are you going to do? Be depressed? You're going to turn to things that you shouldn't. You have to love yourself, know yourself, be yourself, and then you can share yourself. And that's the best part.
Love it.
Because I have fun. I have
love
fun
it.
with
I love
people,
it.
like when we were taking pictures, and
Yes.
I was like, okay, now strike a pose, go for it. And then everybody's laughing, and the picture comes out great. So that's, you should free up yourself. You should be able to free and be yourself
I
at
just
all
heard
times.
the Jamaican come out to
Yeah,
you.
I know.
Free up yourself.
Don't get me started.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am not good with the Jamaican, so
That's okay.
If I try to speak Jamaican, I will lose my Jamaican citizenship. So let's leave it at that. Now, I want to touch on, you know, the fact that you were essentially, you know, the first, one of the, if not the first, Black female artist in Canada to open up the music industry.
Right.
There's a certain level of pressure associated with that, but not only were you able to open doors and pave the way,
Right.
but you've remained relevant for, I won't age you by saying
That's
how long,
okay.
but you've
That's
remained
okay.
relevant.
Yeah.
How did you manage to stay up to date and current with the different styles of music
Yeah.
and so forth?
Well, like I said earlier, I sang jazz, blues, R&B, opera, all different kinds of things. I did everything. So whenever the economy went down, you know, you go into a jazz band and you learn jazz, and then when it comes up, you do R&B. So you have to reach out. I mean, I have a gold record in country music.
Yes.
Like, I just love country music.
Yep.
So to stay relevant, well, I just love what I do, and I'm always myself. I always am, and I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it. They did a huge article how I built equity for Black women in Canada, and I'm like, okay,
You just did. Yeah.
Okay, so I just did it. I went ahead and did it. I didn't have a crown on my head. I went forward. I just pushed through because I wanted to do the music. I wanted to learn from different artists. I wanted to be a part of the music scene. I thought that was what was for me. That's what took me from Peterborough,
Wow.
from that place, and then took me all over the world. So I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'm not going to argue with myself.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part about it. You just be yourself and make sure you have your armor on.
Ooh.
Mental, physical, spiritual armor on. That's all. And you know good from bad. You know wrong from right. You know, this doesn't smell right. Let's leave. When I got into that van with those 5 older Jamaican men, they read me the riot act. They said, you don't drink. You don't smoke. You don't go out at night. As soon as you get off the stage, you run home. Right? So they told me what to do, and they said, you never stay afterwards. And,
So important.
And what I do today is I remember sneaking out of a gig one night because they were going, come on, Liberty, for the 3rd encore. So I went out the back alley to my truck. And on the way out, I met the guy who owned the Flow. And he goes, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be up on stage. I said, what are you doing here? We were both sneaking out of the gig. He goes, yeah, because it gets crazy after the show's over. Right? And the energy's there. And sometimes when people receive that energy, they transform. And if they've been drinking, they transform. And if they're doing other things, they transform. And that's not my energy.
Okay.
Because myself will say, are we ready to go? Yeah, let's go.
Yes. Incredible.
And then my friend will say, well, can't we have one drink? No, you can't. If you want to have a drink, go home and have a drink. Don't do it here in the club. Don't do it in the club. It's not worth it. Because look what's happening out there in the music world. It's not cool.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's not cool.
That's so true. Now, do you still write? Do you write?
Always,
Oh, yeah?
constantly.
Okay.
Yeah, when COVID happened and everybody was kind of down and stuff, I looked outside the window and I saw the deer and the bunnies and everything come back to the earth. And I was like, this is God's time. No matter what man creates, God will always make it his time.
Beautiful.
And I saw that, and I just started writing albums, 3 albums, back to back, boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
And then I wrote a song called Who Will Save the World? And it was basically because people were so freaked out about COVID. And I said, God is great. And there was a lot of different things that made me leery of COVID and how it just automatically came and all that kind of stuff. And I said, no, this is God's time. He's going to work things out. Everything's going to be fine.
Wow.
But you have to read your word too, because it tells you about COVID in the Bible.
Okay,
It does. It doesn't say COVID.
Yeah.
But it said they will drop things inside of you. Like there's so much, you got to read. Like I don't read enough, you know, and I keep what I know, like I have so many principles that I just automatically live by. So it saves me from a lot of back and now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I have to trust in what I know to be true spiritually, and that just guides me. I just let it guide me.
Yeah.
And it's never faltered yet.
Oh,
He's never let me
beautiful.
down.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I want to journey back to 12-year-old you when you mentioned, you know, you left home, you had just found out that you were adopted, and you packed your bags and said, Mom, see you later, and went to live with your sister. Would have this been your adopted sister or your biological?
My adopted sister.
Okay.
I did actually, my girlfriend Nancy, whenever I was on tour, my son was there. She was there for my son, so she took care of him. Love her to death. So, what was the question again?
just asking if it was your adopted sister or biological
no,
sister.
No, it was my adopted sister.
Okay.
So I had a really good friend. Her name was Nancy. She took care of my son when I was on tour, and when I was on tour, she just did such an amazing job. So now years went by, and my father, who was such a great man, my adopted father, after he passed, I waited because Nancy had bought me an Ancestry.com. She goes, go find your people.
Beautiful.
And I go, I don't know if I can do that. She goes, wait, and when it's there waiting for you, I paid for it, go find your people. So I said, okay. So I waited about 2-3 years after my father passed. It was sad for me because he was such a great man. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to do it. My big thing was worrying about, okay, who was this guy?
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Who is this guy? And that was kind of, after I thought about that, I said, you know, you should know you come from great stock. Look at you.
You know what?
Look how good you are.
Came from great
right?
stock.
But my worry was, who was this guy?
That sounds like it's going to be a conversation for show number 2.
Oh, wow.
So thank you so much, Liberty, for
Wait
having this
till
conversation.
You hear who he is. Yes.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
It
God
has
is
been
good.
a pleasure.
God
it
is
has been
good.
a pleasure having
Thank you. I love you. I love you. And your team is awesome.
Amazing. Thank you, Pat, behind the scenes for an amazing episode. And thank you to all of our amazing supporters, Town Tees for the logo and the amazing jewelry by Moonstone by MA. Thank you for tuning in for another incredible episode of In Conversation with Alethia. Tune in next time. Bye.